Okay, following on from a request from one of your classmates, I am going to read to you an essay on a key event in Tess of the D'Urbervilles. I will possibly upload the text for the essay as well. I've not decided yet. We'll see what happens anyway. I've come up with a very broad question. It just says, discuss a key event that influences your appreciation of the text as a whole. In the exam, you will not get one so broad, but for our purposes, this will at least guide you a little. Okay, so if it looks like I'm reading this, rest assured, it's because I am reading this. Okay. Tess Durbeyfield finds peace in her troubled life only at the end of Hardy's 1891 novel. It's a strange irony that she achieves this sense of calm only at the point where she knows she is to be killed, and that her chances of a future life with her beloved angel Claire are now completely destroyed. However, as this essay will show, her final moments at Stone Henge are neither incredible nor inconsistent with the story which precedes this event. Indeed, her arrest is the only logical and appropriate ending for Hardy's tragic heroine. At Stone Henge, we see a number of key themes and ideas of the novel come to a head. Tess achieves a sense of tranquility when she lies down on the stones of an ancient heathen temple. Throughout the novel, Tess has been connoted with pagan or heathen ideas. When we're first introduced to Tess, we see her at a May Day dance, a festival which is traditionally intended as a pagan fertility rite. Symbolically, Tess is marked out at this point through the red ribbon that she has in her hair, which contrasts starkly with the white she and all the other girls are wearing. This serves to foreshadow the ill fate that Tess faces and connotes blood and lust, while also suggesting Christian ideas of sin. The conflict between Christianity and pagan beliefs is constant in the novel. Indeed, it's at Tess's rape where Hardy asks, where was Tess's guardian angel? Where was the providence of her simple faith? Hardy seems to be indicating that the Christianity of Victorian England had failed Tess and had not provided a salvation for her. This is later confirmed when the church does not allow her to baptize her illegitimate child. And throughout the novel, from the vicious sign writer, who is of course painting in red, to Alec's brief conversion, the Christian church is portrayed as an insensitive and unforgiving body. It's quick to punish, and it's inaccessible to those who do not have an education. It's no coincidence that the middle-class Clare family are all tied very closely to the church. But the workers in Marlott and Talbothy's, they all hybridized, they joined together Christianity with paganism and various local superstitions. At the novel's conclusion, Tess seems to release her Christianity, especially when Angel cannot confirm her question. She says, "Tell me now, Angel, do you think we shall meet again after we are dead?" And it's fitting that she asks this question at a pagan temple. It's the point where she loses her Christianity completely. Ironically, it's here that Tess echoes the Christian creation myth, as Hardy had done during Tess and Angel's courtship at Talbothy's. Tess remarks at Stone Henge, "It seems as if there were no folk in the world but we two, and I wish there were not." Throughout the novel, Tess has sought an isolation from the complication of the world, the blighted star that she feels she inhabits. There is an ominous sense to this desire, though, as the story of Adam and Eve comes to a fatal and disastrous conclusion. Yes, there is the infinite pleasure of Eden, but it is destroyed. Earlier, Hardy writes that Tess regarded him, that's Angel, as Eve at her second waking might have regarded Adam. However, the Genesis myth also leads to an exile. The price of forbidden knowledge, in Tess's case this is the sexual knowledge which she learns from Alec, is never to be allowed back to that original state of innocence. In being cast from Eden and from innocence, it again seems appropriate that Tess should return to a pagan temple. Unlike the Christian church, there is no sense that Tess cannot return, and she is welcomed there. Again, it's ironic that Tess feels she and Angel have returned to Eden, a very Christian myth, when they are alone at a pagan temple, Stone Henge. It's important to note that Tess's paganism is presented in her free association with the natural world. Sometimes it's just pathetic fallacy. We see her suffering on the barren, miserable landscape of Flint Kamash, or even in her happiness in the fecund meadows of Talbothes. But often it's clear symbolism. This is never more true than in Hardy's alignment of his heroine with birds. The most striking instance of this is when Tess, who is escaping from Groby, makes a nest for herself to sleep in, only to wake with dozens of half-dead or even killed pheasants, which she takes upon herself to relieve of their suffering. She says, "Poor darlings, to suppose myself the most miserable being on earth in the sight of such misery as yours," her tears running down as she killed the birds tenderly. This oxymoron of the final sentence is especially striking, conveying Tess's affinity with the birds and the brutal task that she feels she must carry out. The episode also serves to foreshadow the necessary death of Tess, herself a bird who is suffering. It's an interesting aside to note that Tess makes a nest when she finds the birds, and she feels like she is a hunted soul. In essence, Hardy portrays his heroine in terms of being a bird, making her execution at the end merciful, but also necessary as that which she gives to the dying pheasants. The final passages of the novel also bring Tess's fatalism to a logical conclusion. Throughout the text, she believes that her role is that of a pawn in a much larger game, and that her own desires can have no influence on her fate. She explains that her coming to her end on Salisbury Plain at Stone Henge is "as it should be," she murmured. "Angel, I am almost glad. Yes, glad this happiness could not have lasted. It was too much." There is a sense of acceptance in her short final sentence here, which demonstrates her acceptance that she wasn't just fated. She wasn't fated to be happy. Earlier in the novel, Hardy had explained, as Tess's own people down in those retreats are never tired of saying among each other in their fatalistic way, "It was to be," and there lay the pity of it. Again, the notion that Tess's fate was inescapable is shown when we're told that upon this beautiful feminine tissue, sensitive as gossamer and practically blank as snow, as yet there should have been traced such a course pattern as it was doomed to receive. The word "doomed" is key here, as it makes explicit Tess's belief in fate, such as dictates so much of her own life. However, as we've already noted, this foreboding sense of an inescapable fate is not a purely Christian one. Tess sees symbols in the natural world, and on a mundane level, she even takes the complete fortune teller to the outhouse. She reads her fortune on the toilet. Tess is a hybrid of beliefs, and none of them will permit her to be happy. Tess's life of bitter struggle against her social superiors and an indifferent world also comes to a conclusion at Stone Henge. When the police arrive to arrest her, she doesn't struggle. She has long since accepted her fate, cast out her Christian faith, and enjoyed a short burst of happiness with the man she loves. She simply says, "I am ready," and is taken to her execution. Angel and Tess's arrival at Stone Henge is a key point in the novel, tying together a number of ideas which Hardy deploys throughout his text. There's an overriding sense that Tess, now at ease, has returned to a place she belongs, having been hunted throughout Wessex for the duration of the novel. Rather than finding a spiritual home in Victorian Christianity, Hardy shows his heroine, who for so much of the novel was an embodiment of the natural world, returning to an ancient pagan temple, and it is here that Tess fully accepts her fate and is briefly happy for the final time in her life. I hope that was useful. As usual, if you want to get in touch, Twitter at mrconnor1.com, mrconnor1.com, Twitter at mrconnor1, or you can go to the website www.mrconnor.com. There will be more of these up in the coming days. Please tweet me if you have a particular area of study you would like me to present on.